Okay, in this video tutorial we'll be creating a wood texture in Gimp 2.8, and this is actually part of another tutorial for Hexagon 2.5. This we'll be creating a texture for our wooden crate, but also if you just want to use this as a Gimp tutorial, that's fine. It can be used as a standalone tutorial for Gimp. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started by creating a new texture. Go to File and New. And since this is part of the hexagon tutorial, we'll just make this 400 by 400 and click OK. Now if you need a different size texture just do so. So now we've got our 400 by 400 layer open, and the next thing I'm going to do, you don't have to do this, but I prefer to go to view and then zoom and fit image to window. And another thing I like to do is go to view and go down here to show layer boundary, and what that does is get rid of that little yellow and black dotted line around your layer. Now the next thing I want to do is grab my fill tool, or the bucket fill tool, and I'm going to go to click on my foreground color, and I'm going to set this color. You can use any brown color you want to use, but the one I'm going to use, the HTML notation is 985E37. So we'll just click on that, and then we'll bucket fill this background layer here. And now I'm going to go up to Filters, Noise, HSV Noise, and then I'm just going to play around here with these values. Saturation doesn't have to be that high. Holdness, let's see, let's set that to about 3. Our hue can be set at 3. Our saturation is 9. And our value is about 102. You can adjust those as you want to. You could also use this as a cork texture. If you need a cork texture, you could go back and play with the noise settings a little bit. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Filters, and I'm going to go to Distorts, and then go all the way down here to Wind. And I'm going to have my threshold and my strength both set to about 10 and 10. And then the edge affected, I'm going to choose trailing. Just click OK. And that gives us a pretty good start to our wood texture there. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to Filters. So I'm going to go to Blur and Motion Blur. And I'm going to set the length to about 37, and make sure you have the angle set to 0. And that's the start of our wood texture there. You could just stop there if that's good enough for you, but I like to add a little more detail than that. So I'm going to go right here, and I'm going to create a new layer. Down here you have create a new layer, a layer group, and move the layers up and down, duplicate layer, anchor layer, and delete layer. You can also right click up on top of your layer there and bring up context menu and choose new layer from there. We're just going to do it from here for now. And this layer should be set to transparency and the same size, 400 by 400. I'm just going to click OK. And I'm going to go back to Filters, and I'm going to go down to Render, Clouds, Solid Noise. And I'm going to kind of mess with the sizes here. And since our grain of our wood is is running left and right. I kind of want to render this solid noise clouds kind of go in that direction, so you can just adjust those settings and mess with it. This time I've got the X size set to 1.0 and the Y size set to 11.5, and I'm just going to click OK. And then I'm going to go right up here to our mode, and I'm going to click that, and I'm going to set this to overlay. And there you go. You can go ahead and merge that down if you want to, and then of course you can go to colors and mess with your levels a little bit if you don't like it. Lighten it, darken it. You can just play with those settings there. I think I'm going to leave it about here. And then if you want to add a little more detail, we can create a new layer on top of our background there. And then I'm going to select my brush tool, and I'm going to set my foreground color to black. And my brush size, I'm going to go ahead, I've already set it, and I'm setting it to about 2.0, or size of 2. I'm just going to go in here and I'm just going to start creating some lines across here. Just have fun with it. And I may take one area and scribble it up pretty good. And then I'm going to go up to Filters, Distorts, and Shift. You have a little display window here, and you can just kind of play with your settings here. You do want that set to horizontally, and I've got it set here to the shift amount of 106. I'm just going to click OK. And as you can see, that kind of gives us another texture on there to add a little more definition. And then I'm just going to go up here and set that to overlay. And then I'm going to turn down the opacity a little bit. And you can just play with a little bit there and see kind of how you want it to look. So I'm going to go ahead and merge this down, this layer here. And then for this particular tutorial, you don't have to do this, but in this particular hexagon tutorial that we're creating this texture for, we're going to make this several boards. So what we need to do is create some lines here, dark lines, so we can give separation for our to give the appearance of several boards there. So I've still got my brush size set to 2 and my foreground color set to black. And I'm just going to go to over here and create a new layer, set to transparency and the same size, which is 400 by 400. And then I'm just going to click outside here somewhere, and then I'm going to hold my shift key, so as you can see you've got a little line here that comes across, and I could just click, but you also, after you click shift, if you'll hold your control key too, that will create a straight stroke across there. And I'm going to do the same thing down here. I think I want those to be a little darker, so I'm just going to go over it again, or right below it. Let's see here. That won't work. You could also, if you know how to, you could use the guides to create these lines. But as you can see, that kind of separates our texture into like separate boards there. Also, we could duplicate this layer if we wanted to. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that right here. And I'm going to go to colors, and I'm going to invert it. And when I inverted it, you can see that changed those lines to white. And then I'm going to go up here and I'm going to click on my move tool, and then I'm just going to click here on my canvas, which to activate that layer to be moved. And then I'm just going to use my arrow keys on my keyboard. I'm just going to tap that up so it's just above our black lines that we just created. And then I'm going to go to Filters, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and then I'm going to blur that a little bit. We'll try 4, and then we'll just let's see what happens if we set that to overlay. Now that darkens it too much. Let's leave it to normal and adjust our opacity, and that kind of gives you just a little bit more of detail there, to kind of puts a little bit of a highlight there to kind of give it a slightly beveled look. I don't like the way that looks really, so I might try to blur it a little bit more. So I'll just go here and repeat Gaussian blur, or I could just use the hotkeys Control F, and that's much better. Let's turn the opacity down some. Anyway, that's basically it. You don't have to add that little bit of bevel there if you don't want to. And all these settings are flexible. You can just go in there and play with it as you want to, and use some darker colors, some lighter colors. You could render another well, let me go ahead and do that. I'm just going to go ahead and make another layer on top here to add some more grain texture in there, and I'm going to go ahead and render cloud solid noise again, but this time I'm going to change these settings just a little bit. I've got 2.1 on the X and 13.5 on the Y, and I'm just click OK. We'll go back up here and set that layer mode to overlay, and you can see that gives us just a little bit more realistic detail in there. If you want, you can adjust the opacity of it. So anyway, I'll just merge all the visible layers there, and then I would just go here and export that to whatever format you'd like to have it at. But anyway, that concludes this tutorial, and remember, this is part of a Hexagon 2.5 tutorial for creating a wooden crate, or you can use it as just a plain old Gimp 2.8 tutorial. And thank you for watching.